Good day, another beautiful day at Homesteading Made Easy. I am Carol and today we'll be making noodles. This is the recipe I use. All you need is egg yolks, hot water, and flour. You can use any kind of flour. I use white flour, what I use for everything else. So the first thing is that you need to do is separate the eggs, the yolks from the whites. I usually use the whites then for angel food cake. And if you have your own chickens, we save our eggshells, dry them, smash them up, and give them to the chickens again. I'm going to be making 2 batches, so I need 4 cups of egg yolks. So that takes about a little over 4 dozen, maybe close to 5 dozen eggs. Okay, so I used 5 dozen eggs to get my 4 cups of egg yolks. So I whip these up real well. I have tried already mixing this in a mixer, and it does not work too well because you need to get the dough real stiff. So I just do it by hand. Mix up the egg yolks, then add my hot water. I just use hot water out of the tap because we have a well water, so it's not a lot of goop in it. I know the recipe says 4 pounds flour, but I never measure it. I just start scooping in flour. And the eggshells, we have a wood stove in the basement. I'll just set those down by the wood stove until they're dry. If it's in the summertime, I set them outside in the sun to dry. So once they're all dry, you can crush them up and give them to the chickens again. Or some people put it in their gardens or flower beds. We've always recycled them to the chickens. Once it gets hard, kind of hard to stir it with the wire whip, I go in with my hands and keep adding flour till it's no longer sticky. It's kind of like bread, but the dough has to be actually, let's see, what's the word? Bread, you don't want as, you want it to be a little bit sticky, but with noodles, you don't want it to be sticky at all. So this is about as stiff as you want it. See, it's not even sticky anymore. Doesn't stick to your hands. That's kind of about how you want it. If you need a arm workout, just make some noodles. Okay, I'll let this set for about 15 minutes. Then I'll do the next step. Okay, the next step is, this is the way I do it. I make small balls, and I set this noodle maker at the widest width to put it through the noodle maker. Then I hang it on a rack. That's actually a clothes rack. You want to grease these, or wherever you put them, you want to grease your surface so it doesn't stick once you're ready to do the next step. Then once I have put all this dough through the very widest setting, I move this to the third setting. It makes them thinner. Then I put it through again. Until I have put all the noodles through it. Then I let it hang for a while to let them dry. Then once they're dry enough, I will put them through the cutter. Okay, I'm all done now making the thickness of how I want it. If you want it thicker, that's up to you. You can make it thicker if you want. And if you're wondering about the different sizes, it's because of how it started out. See the thickness? Maybe I should bring it over here. But that's the way I've done this thick for always. So I'll let those dry for, I don't know, maybe a couple hours. It just depends. We have heat in here, so they dry quicker. If it's cooler, it takes longer to dry. So you just have to wait. Then sometimes I put them through the cutter to see how they cut. If they're too wet, especially if you use this one, it will just, it won't cut nice. You'll have they'll ball up on the opposite side. But if they're not dry enough, just wait longer. But I don't use this part anymore. It's wore out, so I use this one. And usually you can cut them when they're a little wetter, because they don't have a tendency to ball because they're wider. What I do is I cut them into smaller pieces. You don't have to if you don't want to, or you make them the length that you want it. And you just have to be feed it through there. Then I spread them out on a sheet and let them dry. It might take a couple days, 2-3 days till they're all dry. Then I'll put them in containers. Now, one thing I want to mention, if you don't have a rack or something to hang them up, my mother-in-law, she used to put maybe flour or something on a table and laid them out on the table to dry. But I didn't like all that extra flour on my noodles. That is why I went to using a rack, because that was my preference. So there are all the noodles. Now I will let those dry on there. Like I said, it might take 2-3 days because of how thick they are. If you have the smaller cut, it doesn't take as long. But we have heat down here, so that helps. And I will probably start using some tonight for supper. Boil some noodles, add some meat, marinara sauce. So we'll enjoy some tonight. You don't have to wait until they're all dry. You can start using them right away if you wish to. Have a blessed day.